Hello. All right, we'll try that again. Hi, everyone. Welcome to my live stream. I am actually doing it a little bit early because I have some stuff coming up today. So I'm in a place called Sitges in Spain, which is just west of Barcelona. The wind is whipping, which is lovely because it's very hot. We live on a catamaran. If you're new here, I'm Rosa Linda Román. I go by Rosa Linda, and I normally do this at the top of the hour, but there is something called Fiesta Mayor, which is like a festival here in this area. I just learned about it. I went to a yoga class this morning. And so it's tricky for me to try to be participating in the things that are happening here when I had made the commitment to do things at noon Mountain Time in New Mexico when we lived in New Mexico. We're nearing the end of the book. By the way, this is my live stream that I read a chapter of this book, Losing Sight of the Shore, How to Live on a Boat Without Killing Your Family. I read a chapter a week, and I've been doing that now for 29 weeks because we're on the 29th chapter. And I think it's been well received. I've enjoyed doing it. It helps me revisit the stories in this book, which are all about our living on a sailing catamaran, actually 2 different sailing catamarans up and down the coast of the United States. Actually, this is just Florida and the Bahamas. This is before we ever did the rest of the United States all the way up to Maine. So all of this to say, it's windy, it's early, and I hope you'll forgive me because I wanted to take my kids to do something, and everything usually is really, really late, but it's happening at 8 o'clock here. So it's late, but we can do it. And it's just like down the block from the marina. So hopefully you can catch this on the replay if you missed it at this very strange live time. And here we go. And hopefully you can hear me with all the wind. I even have a little windscreen. You see the little tiny dead cat, they call that, a windscreen on my Rode Wireless Go mic. So hopefully that helps. All right, without further ado, this is Losing Sight of the Shore, chapter 29, Georgetown. Need my glasses. Okay, here we go. Like Hopetown in the Abacos, Georgetown in the Exumas will always be a special place for our family. Just like Hopetown, our kids went to school there, and we made lifelong friends while anchored in her harbor. But the first time we came into Georgetown, I didn't think it was very special at all because we arrived under duress. We had had a long sail from Staniel Key down to Georgetown, about 55 nautical miles, and we were on a deadline. For the record, a deadline is never a good idea when dealing with Mother Ocean. Far better it is to follow her lead and move on her mark than to risk your family's safety. But on this particular sail, we pushed a little more than usual to arrive in time for Nathan's flight back to the U.S. for work a few days later. We did our best to wait for proper conditions while also having that fast approaching deadline nagging at us along the way. This meant that we decided to bypass the more conveniently located Musha Key, famous for its underwater mermaid piano, and instead pushed through to Georgetown. Here's how Nathan remembers that day. We were supposed to pull in and drop anchor at Musha Key, but the wind was perfect, the weather was perfect, and the sailing was perfect. So we decided to just bypass the mermaid and catch it on the way back. Everything was perfect until we were making our approach into Elizabeth Harbor around dusk. As we tacked and dropped our mainsail, we suddenly lost an engine. That left us with no other options but to continue with just the jib sail and one engine through the narrow, unfamiliar channel. Maneuvering a catamaran on just one engine can be nearly impossible. When you have 2 engines, the boat will go straight easily. In fact, one can make the boat do just about anything by just changing the direction or RPMs of the engine. Think of it as a long pole that is tied to your waist. You have 2 people pushing you from each end of the pole. You go straight. Now imagine one person is just standing, holding the end of the pole, and the other person is still pushing. You just turn in a circle. This is the same with a catamaran. If you only have one working engine, you just turn in a circle. But as long as you have forward momentum, the rudders can help compensate for the torque caused by having only one engine. We had one viable approach at that point: to turn into the wind, drop the sail, anchor, and turn off the engine. If the anchor didn't hold, we would have no other way than to drift off the wind and re-raise the sail to get us moving again. This would have been nearly impossible in fading light in a crowded harbor. Gratefully, we pulled it off successfully on the first try, and the anchor held. Well, I may not have inherently understood the physics of what he described. I was keenly aware that we were facing a stressful arrival into Georgetown. I remember how relieved we all felt, along with a big sense of accomplishment, as we settled safely into the busy anchorage off of Chat and Chill. Little did we know this would become our home base for the next few months, that our children would end up going to school there, and that our departure would also be under duress. Our decision to approach the Georgetown Primary School happened unexpectedly as we were on the way to deliver Nathan to the airport shuttle. We were all feeling sad that he had to leave, but it was a lovely day and we enjoyed the walk through town as a family. As we passed the school, one of the kids said, "We should see if they take transients." For all they have given up in order to live this alternative lifestyle, I'm grateful that they have gained a willingness to be open to and look for new possibilities. Next thing we knew, we were sitting in the Georgetown Primary School principal's office discussing the possibility of our kids attending her school. All of the administrators and the rest of the school welcomed us with open arms. Since we were starting mid-year, we had missed the time period for ordering school uniforms. But within 2 days, several families had stepped in and helped find uniforms for all 3 kids. I can't even begin to tell you how much we appreciated this welcoming attitude and how cute those 3 looked in their brown and tan uniforms when they headed to school the first day. The minute the principal said yes and welcomed my kids into the Georgetown Primary School, I thought back to Hopetown and that principal's question, "What can you do for us?" What could I do to give back to this lovely little community school willing to educate my kids? We didn't know how long we would be in town, but I was certain it wouldn't be anywhere near the 4 months we spent in Hopetown. So offering to become their Spanish teacher was out. Plus, they already had a Spanish teacher. As I discussed possibilities with Ziva, she said, "You could read Narnia to them." As you may have suspected from the name of our boat, Dawn Treader, the Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis have always been my favorite books. Like Ahava, when I was 11, I had a major life change after Eastern Airlines transferred my father from Chicago to Miami, Florida. At the time, my grandparents, Charlotte and Willard Stapley, lived in Lake Worth. So we went to live with them there until we could find a house and get settled in Miami. Living in Lake Worth during that time left me feeling uncertain and disconnected after leaving my friends, especially knowing that it was just a transitional home. That experience gave me some understanding about how my kids must have felt leaving New Mexico to move onto the boat. That's when I discovered the Lake Worth Library and The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I must have read the 7 books in the series 100 times, as the characters took me away to the magical realm of Narnia. In Narnia, I was no longer the awkward, shy preteen, but a bold adventurer. Once I had kids of my own, I knew I wanted to share these books with them too. One by one, I started reading the series to them. First to Ahava, then Ziva, and finally Samuel. They all loved the stories too. So when our family was searching for a new name for our new boat, it was natural that we agreed on the beloved ship that Prince Caspian, Lucy, Edmund, and Eustace sailed to the end of that world. Which explains why it was a natural fit for me to read the first book in the Narnia series to Ziva's 4th grade class at Georgetown Primary School. The problem was that I only had one copy of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe on board, which wasn't ideal for the kids to feel like they were a part of the reading process. That is how I discovered the Georgetown Library. Like Hopetown, Georgetown's little library was staffed by volunteers. They had a system where you paid a membership fee and then got an index card in a box at the front desk. Because this was a spot that cruisers came to year after year, this allowed them to check out books whenever they were in town. I managed to check out a few extra copies of the book, but that was still not enough for the whole class. Next, I turned to the liveaboard community and put a call out on the Cruisers Net to see if anyone had the series on board. Surprisingly, a few people did, and they also graciously loaned us their copies. One especially generous cruiser even tried to order sets of the books for the whole class, but we learned quickly that sometimes there is a vast chasm between good intentions and government regulations, and there was just no way to get them to us in time. Undeterred, with only 5 copies in hand, Ziva and I shared one of our favorite stories of all time with her new, curious classmates. The students and I took turns reading 1 or 2 chapters each day, with the kids begrudgingly passing each coveted book to the next classmate when their turn was up. It was hard work, as some kids were struggling readers while others could breeze through the material. Over the course of several weeks, we slowly worked through that magical story together. Looking back on our experience at the school, there are so many wonderful memories. One of my favorites happened on the first day my kids arrived. It was a sweet, innocent moment of first contact when several Bahamian children asked Blonde, Ziva, and Samuel, "Can I touch your hair?" Followed by my kids' equally curious response, "Sure, if I can touch yours." Their hair may have been totally different, colors and textures, but their uninhibited curiosity was the same. A few weeks later, as I watched my little sandy blonde boat baby standing beside those beautiful island kids singing Michael Jackson's Heal the World in a school performance, I knew we had made the right choice to lean in and immerse ourselves in that community. By choosing to stay a while instead of just passing through, we got the chance to explore new horizons and learn new things about others and ourselves along the way. That is chapter 29, Georgetown, in Losing Sight of the Shore, How to Live on a Boat Without Killing Your Family. Sorry for the mixed lighting. Also, next week, I'm going to have another chapter about Georgetown, but this one is scandalous, as it's called Getting Kicked Out of the Bahamas. I did, in fact, get kicked out of the Bahamas. So you definitely want to see that. If you're around, please, please join me. And I just, again, want to apologize that I did start this broadcast, this live stream early, because we are going to follow that advice from this chapter that I just read and go out into the community. I joined a yoga class this morning, and they told me that we just so happened to be here during a time of, it's a festival, a local festival, where they're going to have Spanish guitar music and something called habaneros that has something to do with Cuba. They said the people from here sailed, the seafarers sailed to Cuba. So I'm super fascinated by that, as they are our primos, right? Cubans and Puerto Ricans are practically cousins. So yeah, I just wanted to let you know, I'm sorry I'm early. I guess it's better than late. And I hope you enjoy this little thing that I'm doing, sharing these chapters. I'm actually thinking about what comes next, whether I would like to keep this going. I will probably change the time, just because it's not great timing, obviously, now that we're not in New Mexico right now. But I'm thinking I'm either going to continue reading a chapter from my books, and the next one is going to be thrillers, so unrelated to boat life, or I might just continue to do live streams related to living on a boat, since that's what we're doing at this point in our lives. So you guys let me know. I have a Substack. It's rosalindaromán.substack.com. And when you go to that, I would love to hear from you. Feel free to drop me a line. I will be updating that very soon. I had neglected it for a few months while we were making the move onto the boat. But if you join my email newsletter there, I'm going to start updating that. And finally, yeah, you can find me there or in the very platform that you're watching this on. Again, sorry I'm early, but hopefully you'll go back and watch the replay if you're able. Thank you for checking out this chapter of Losing Sight of the Shore. Have a great day, and I will talk to you soon. And that's it.